Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, stories, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And today we are going to be reviewing the film Project Hail Mary, and we are joined by a very special guest. This is the first time we're having him on the pod. Evan is here to join us, y'all. Evan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm Evan Bernstein. I host the Evan Edition. Just to give you guys a little taste, it's really built around community of people who love movies, TV, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, all that geeky stuff, all of it. And we have real, respectful conversations about the things that we care about. I try and say that because this stuff is subjective. And so we're all going to have different opinions or different point of views, but I feel like as long as you can have a respectful conversation about it, like that's where you really get to like open yourself up to other people and how they see things. I think that's really cool. So we keep people up to date on what's happening in the industry, but also go deeper with breakdowns and interviews, whether that's comic book writers, TV writers, creators, cosplay artists we've done before, even comic shop owners. It's really about celebrating fandom in a way that feels thoughtful and fun at the same time. And we try and go live at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Sunday. We try to.
I love that so much, especially because sometimes the fandoms can get so passionate that you're creating a space of connection and not conflict. So it's very good. I love it. I love it. It's neat to see the passion behind a lot of those fandoms, and creating a space for them to all come together in the forum is really awesome. We're excited to have Evan on the pod for the first time. I think this is also like a banger to be able to do together. This film has just been generating so much energy and attention. So I think there's a lot to talk about here in this film today. So Sarah, do you want to kick us off with an IMDb summary for Project Hail Mary?
A science teacher wakes up alone on a spaceship. As his memory returns, he uncovers a mission to stop a mysterious substance killing Earth's sun, and that an unexpected friendship may be the key.
All right. So our one sentence summaries here in Movies and Us tradition for Project Hail Mary. Evan, as our guest, do you want to share your one sentence summary first?
I would love to. At its core, it's a story about an unlikely friendship between two beings from completely different worlds, and how connection, empathy, and trust can transcend everything we think that separates us.
Oh, very good. Yes. That's so
Did my
good.
homework.
Wow. That was an emotional journey. Like
Yes.
I felt that. Like rung in the air.
Like the movie, yeah.
Yeah. Sarah, what is your one sentence summary for Project Hail Mary?
Mine is, maybe the real science was the friends we made along the way.
Oh, so good.
Chef's kiss.
Well done. My one sentence summary is, our pet rocks can save the world.
Nice. Yeah.
All right. So Project Hail Mary, I think there's a lot to talk about here. I think the groundswell of just how well this is resonating with audience is also so notable. I think we don't see this frequently, often in the movie world. So when it happens, gosh, we really take note. And we're going to start our conversation with our high-level thoughts about Project Hail Mary. We're going to kind of temp check across the board here. We won't spoil this movie in this opening section, so we'll give a spoiler alert a little bit later. But Project Hail Mary, Evan, I'm curious how this film landed with you.
Absolutely terrible. No, I'm just kidding. No. What really hit me with this movie is that beneath all the science and the spectacle, it's actually a very human story about connection, about learning to trust someone who doesn't look like you, doesn't speak your language, and comes from a completely different world, and still choosing to work together. And I really think that was really powerful. And it really, I'm going to keep saying this, it really made my heart smile.
Ah, I love I love that. It's making so many hearts like grow 10
I
sizes bigger,
know.
I think. And it sounds like yours was included in that. Love that. Sarah, thoughts about Project Hail Mary?
Yeah, well, we have already established on a previous episode, Hamnet, that I don't have a heart. And that is reinforced by this movie. It didn't work for me. The story
Wow.
didn't work for me. I didn't connect to these characters. I was not invested in the journey that Ryan Gosling's character goes on. Like, I I was not bought in like everybody else is. Again, well established. I don't have a heart. We see that here again. But I was really impressed by all of the technical aspects of this. It looks beautiful. I loved the music, which doesn't make any sense, but absolutely works and is pitch perfect for this film. The the technical aspects of like puppetry and animation and all of these things I think is just so impressive. So on a technical level, I was like, yes, I'm loving this. From a story perspective, I was like, this is not working for me. So yep, that whole respectful disagreement thing it's gonna come in really handy on this episode.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
I think you're right. I think the music is something that actually
Mm,
isn't talked about a lot. And the Daniel Pemberman is the composer, and he's done like a lot of great movies. He did Slow Horses, the TV series. He
mm.
did the drama, which you guys just saw,
Big fans of.
Materialist, Eddington, Black Mirror, a ton of other ones. So it's like you can tell like he chooses movies or gravitates towards
Mm,
movies that are just like very emotional and very like complex emotions and empathetic and I the more you said about the composer, the more that really made me seem like they chose this composer for a very specific reason.
mhm. And I think that like deep emotional core of this film is what is moving audiences in a powerful
Mhm.
way. This movie should have worked for me. I love me some cheese. I love me some feel good. I'm sorry to
No.
report, Evan, that we have invited you on our show this time because you need to tell us why we are wrong.
I
because
I haven't.
because I actually am so fascinated. I've been mulling on and deeply thinking about this film the past few weeks because it is moving most people. And one of my closest friends, like this is rewired her brain in a powerful way, unlocked this
Wow.
optimism and this hope and this younger childlike part of herself that is like fundamentally transforming her before my very eyes. And so the power of movies is alive and well and is all over Project Hail Mary. So I have been doing some rapid self-reflection, let me tell you, the last few weeks to really dig into like what about this didn't work for me, but is clearly moving so many people. And I think giving us a dose of hoping and believing in something that feels very void in kind of the real world atmosphere that we see right now that is driven by cynicism and kind of this jadedness. And Project Hail Mary is like igniting hope in us again in a way that very few movies can do in a really meaningful authentic way and not have it feel scripted, created, cheesy. And I think that's so notable to me. So I'm so excited to pick your brain about the aspects of Project Hail Mary that really worked for you because I think it is translating for so many people.
Wow, okay. I didn't know this was a attack on me. No. No, I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah.
I feel like we needed this movie more than ever right now. And so as soon as we put the spoiler warning up, we can really get into it because I just feel like there were so many moments that had me
Yeah.
laughing or getting teary eyed or the communal experience of the movie theater.
Yeah.
That yeah, there was just so many moments. It was such a emotional roller coaster that it really made you invested about these characters, and it was a really simple story.
Mhm.
Really, it's like okay, two people two things need to work together to save their respective worlds,
Yeah.
so it's not like it's a very paint by numbers idea of a movie, but I really feel like the driving force of it is that relationship between Grace and Rocky. And it really was a movie about friendship at the end of the day. And so I think that's really what is resonating with people is like your
Yeah.
friend does not have to look like you, speak the same language, come from the same place that you're from to have a mutual love and trust and understanding with one another. And that was something I thought was like really beautiful. And I think that's really is what is getting into some people's hearts.
Well played. That was well done. We're gonna have a spirited combo here shortly. Yeah, spoiler alert for Project Hail Mary because we need to dive fully in. We need to unpack this and really open this up now. So if you haven't seen Project Hail Mary, get on board with literally everybody else that is going out and watching this. Worth seeing in a big theater, IMAX screen if you can. The visuals are stunning, as I think Sarah or Evan mentioned earlier, and this really you are rewarded for going to see this at a theater. So don't wait to watch this on your at home TV. If you can, go out to a theater.
Definitely.
All right, where shall we dive in first? Actually, Evan, I'm curious to hear, was there a moment or a scene that really moved you and you found yourself kind of your thoughts going back to that scene, that moment between Grace and Rocky that kind of really like stands out to you the most, even if it's a smaller moment or kind of one of the major moments. But is there a scene that really emotionally resonated deeply?
100%. And spoiler time, right? Is it okay?
Spoiler time,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Spoil
right.
this movie.
The gloves are off, as they say.
Gloves are off.
Um, Yeah, it actually didn't even involve Rocky or Grace.
Ah.
I think the one scene that really resonated with me was with Strat, played by Sandra Hüller, I believe
Mm-hmm.
is how you pronounce her name. I'm probably butchering it. She's from Anatomy of a Fall and Tony Erdman. She's fantastic. Zone of Interest. I mean, she is just on the rise, and it's really well deserved. But there is that moment in the movie where she sings a karaoke song, and it was just so it was so beautiful the way they did it because they're about to go into space and leave their families behind and go on this probably one way
Yeah.
ticket to save the world. And
Mm.
Grace goes out to speak with Ava, who's not like giving one last celebration, and he's like, "Yo, are you gonna come join? Like this is the last time like you'll
Yeah.
see anyone." And so she's like, I'll come in when I can. And then he's like drinking at the bar and everyone's doing karaoke. And then she just starts in the middle of everyone chilling, singing Sign of the Times
Mm.
by Sir Harry. No, he's not a sir yet, but Harry Styles. Can't give him the Anthony
The
Hopkins or
title
the
bestowed upon him.
Gary Oldman treatment yet. He's got to earn that. But it was just so interesting because the lyrics of the song are like about going to space, and I didn't even realize that it
Mm.
was really about that. And I brought up the lyrics in front of me, but it says like, just stop your crying. It's a sign of the times. Welcome to the final show. Hope you're wearing your best clothes. You can't bribe the door on your way to the sky. You look pretty good down here, but you ain't really good. And it was just like it was all these lyrics that like have to do with like going to space, and it's like nobody put that together before this movie came out. And I guess she chose it in like a list of a bunch of different songs that have to do with like leaving on it. Everyone uses that one, Armageddon. But it was like she chose that song, and now when you read the lyrics back, you're like, oh my goodness, this fits so
Mm.
perfectly. And she's the one basically sending these people off into space, this last ditch effort, this one way ticket that probably will not see them again. And it was just so like incredible the way that she sang it, how
Mhm.
sad it was, but how honest it was in the moment. And you see Grace like watching her, and it was like, oh wow, like, and she's very like type A, like doesn't put herself out there like behind the scenes. And so yeah, I just really gravitated towards that scene, especially. It really stood out to me. Did it do that at all for you guys at all? Or at that point were you like, why are we listening to Harry Styles, right? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, Sarah, I'm curious how that scene landed with you for where you were at the movie by that point in time.
I think okay, I think by that point in time, I was like, I don't
Check
really
that.
care about these flashbacks because he's in space. So, like, why are we
Yeah.
continuing to do this? We're just making the movie longer. But Sandra Hüller is an
She's so
incredible actress. Like,
100%.
anytime she was on screen, I was locked in just because of who she is and like what she
Hmm.
brings to the film. So I appreciated that scene because of the contrast in that character, and like you were just saying, Evan, the truthfulness and the honesty in that. And you can see, throughout the film, she's holding so much back just because of her role. Like, she has to run all of this, she knows so much information that she just has to keep secret and keep inside, and she has to be okay so that everybody else is okay so that they can do their mission. And like, you feel that restraint in her throughout the entire film, and that's the scene when that breaks. And so I thought it was such a tremendous performance from her. It didn't add anything to the movie as a whole for me, but I loved seeing her in that moment. And just like you said, like, she's on the rise as a star, and she is absolutely incredible in everything. So I loved her performance in this.
Yeah. No, I felt the same way. I feel like um you know in sports, like there's different types of coaches. Ones are like, let's
Mhm.
go, like blah 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 blah, and then the other ones are like more like reserved, and
Mm.
they will put themselves out there when the moment calls for it. And it felt like with Sandra, this is the moment that called for it to like put herself out there. So that was really cool to see, like, this is her moment where she's gonna be that coach to give you the last rah-rah speech before they send you off.
And I think that was the most interesting part of the relationship that she has with Grace, is that she continuously is trying to draw out what he doesn't see in himself, and she does it almost in this like sterile matter of fact way because she understands that that's what this character needs the most. So every time he is like crumbling, he is melting into his chair, like he's overwhelmed, rightfully so, by the idea of a suicide mission and carrying the future of humanity on her shoulders. What a concept.
Mhm.
But she knows that she can't coddle him, and I love that she holds that strength for him in a way that like he can't, so that he can go and do the thing. They take it to the point where like he doesn't get a choice. She's like, you'll get on that ship and we're going to have to drug you if we need to, because
Yeah.
she believes in him, but she knows that perhaps he doesn't believe in himself yet. And so he needs that like shove of her foot to like usher him onto that spacecraft so that he can go do what he is capable of, but does not see in himself yet. And I thought that was a fascinating depiction of care and calling this character to higher in a way that he could never do for himself, or perhaps.
Yeah. And he says it in the movie, I mean, he
Yeah.
says like, I don't have anyone. Like, I don't have that someone to go above and beyond for, to do do it for my love at home. Even Rocky does. No slide against Rocky, sorry, Mr. Rock. Humanity population, they're gonna come after me. But it wasn't really until he had that love of Rocky, that one person, like all it takes is that one person to truly see you and accept you for who you are. And that is really all it takes for someone to like go above and beyond or fulfill their potential, is like that one person that sees you and accepts you and has your back. And so I really think, you know, Sandra, it was almost like that for him, but it wasn't, because it's more of a coach, right? It's not like your
Hmm.
teammate, it's your coach sending you off. And it wasn't really until he developed this relationship with Rocky that it was like, oh, I have something to live for now. I have someone in my life that truly loves me as a friend, like, and I truly love them. And I think that was really what gave him that extra something to not only save his world but Rocky's as well. And that I thought was really beautiful, and to see that trajectory. I know the flashbacks, it could take you out of it. So I totally agree, Sarah. Like, what are we doing? Like, are we going back again? Like, we're 2 hours into the movie. Let's just stay for a little bit. But I feel like I understood why they were doing that, to
Mm.
build to that moment where you said, Jen, where he didn't want to go and ultimately said no, and they had to drug him and just throw him on the ship. And so now you're like, oh my God, like he really didn't have anything to live for, so much so that he's like, I don't see a reason for me to go,
Mm.
until that relationship with Rocky occurred. And that I thought was such a beautiful pivot point in the movie.
And I think for me, like Rocky is one of the most impressive parts of this film because
Mm-hmm.
Rocky doesn't have eyes, doesn't have a face, and yet like people love him and he's so cute and like so endearing and all of this. So like shout out to the team that brought him to life. I read a really cool article on Black Girl Nerds about the team of women who helped bring him to life and
Cool.
all of the puppeteers and the animatronics that went into it. And so I think that that's so impressive because when you think about like monster design, character design, like so much of it is about the eyes and getting us to respond to a character based on their eyes or their face. And Rocky doesn't have that. And yet, just audiences are captivated by him. We believe that relationship between them, even though Rocky is literally just rocks. And I think that's just like what an achievement.
I totally agree. And I think that's more, and that's also credit to James Ortiz, who plays the voice of Rocky, because it's like it's two laptops like duct taped together coming out of like a
Yeah.
janky mic. And so like and they were like finding the voice like in the movie. And so I feel like it was such a team effort with like the puppeteers, the voice, like it all, that aspect, like you were saying, Sarah, like the technical aspect, it really came together in a way where you're actually like feeling for a rock creature that is weird, spider looking, but like the voice and the movements, it makes it feel real and it makes it feel lived in. And you feel like this thing can actually exist in our world. And it's like, we only see the finished product, but it was like that team and that collaboration is why this was so successful. And that's such a beautiful thing about filmmaking.
Yeah, it's true. I think one of the big reasons this film didn't work for me is because I didn't buy into the relationship between Grace and Rocky, because that's the whole central like core of this,
Mhm.
of like how they change each other, and then the entire third act is basically like dependent on that core emotional like thread line. But I think what's notable is also the dedication to making this tactile and not use CGI when they easily could have done
Mhm.
that, because we can buy into and feel like this is a lived world, a lived spaceship that we're inhabiting, instead of having to do the like mental leaps of trying to be fooled by a CGI created creature, which inevitably humans are smart. You can't cheat the human, you know, and so we have
Are
to
we?
imagine more to make those logical leaps. um, and I think it also activates perhaps I don't know like almost a childlike ness in us where we played with rocks and we brought them to life and like imaginary objects as a kid and had them have voices and mannerisms and names, and so there's something that's like tapping into that like child imaginative part of us too, perhaps with Rocky.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah,
I'm
we're
just gonna
ready.
ask it anyways. Um, did you guys like because it is Andy Weir who wrote the book, did you guys like The Martian? And if so, why, what made you like The Martian that you think this story didn't have? Or why didn't you like that and you felt a little bit the same of 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 it in this movie?
Okay, so I'm gonna go first because my answer is quicker in that I haven't seen The Martian,
All right.
because
Done and done.
I wasn't interested in The Martian. Honestly, I wasn't interested in Project Hail Mary. So, yeah, just
Are you not a sci-fi person? Is
I
that
am a
why, or
sci-fi person,
you
but for
are?
some
Okay.
reason, these two just haven't interested me. So I need to watch The Martian because I've heard good things about it. I just have not made the time. So here we
Mm-hmm.
are.
I'll tap in. I have seen The Martian and I really liked The Martian, which is why I've
Okay.
also been doing some self reflection to be like, that one really worked for me. And what are other films that are follow a similar format or invitation as Project Hail Mary, but do it differently that
Yeah.
is allowing for something here that I didn't buy into. And I think a big problem for me with Project Hail Mary is the speed with which the film is asking you as me as the audience to buy into how quickly these two connect with each other. I think it was just too fast for me. Had they allowed a little bit more time of that wrestling, that paranoia, which should be understandable, you've just connected with a spaceship in space, and to allow them to warm up to each other more slowly, I think I would have believed more or bought into more. And perhaps it's just me putting myself in the protagonist's shoes of like, if I met an alien creature, I don't know if I'm buying in this quickly, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit more that's leaning into like a lightheartedness and a feel goodness in Project Hail Mary. And The Martian is a lot more like dry, a little bit more cynical at the beginning and focused on the idea of isolation and what that does to you. I think it's in Project Hail Mary a little bit more, but we quickly go from he's isolated and alone to he's now befriending a rock very quickly. And I think the speed of that relationship development is my biggest problem with the like thing I'm asked to do in order for the rest of the movie to work for me. Yeah. Does that help answer your question, even though you will disagree with it?
No, I totally agree. No, I definitely think, and I felt that with other movies where I'm like, well, that happened too fast. Like, I wish they took a
Yeah.
little bit more time. And so usually movies, those kind of things do rub me the wrong way, where there's no ramp up time and it just feels like, oh, okay, we're just best friends now randomly.
Hmm.
For some reason, though, just going back to this experience, and maybe it's just like it depends, like your theater, like people
Yeah.
being into it, like it kind of like it rallies you to be into it, when you're like laughing together and getting teary eyed together, it does kind of influence the way that you see a movie. But for some reason, I didn't feel that as much, but I can see it. Like, I can
Yeah.
see it when you're saying that. I can 100% see, like, dang, that did happen like pretty fast. Like, there was no like real, it's like, okay, they're just dancing and it's like, oh, they're best friends. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like step brothers even took more time, like they were like they hated each other at first. And so no, I totally see that, and I could see how that could rub people the wrong way for sure.
But the fact that it doesn't is, I think, important to reflect kind of the headspace or kind of the emotional state of where we're all at as a movie going audience, which is there is so much strife and lack of understanding, communication, reconciliation in our real world right now. And the difficulty of crossing those boundaries and being able to build relationship with those that are deemed other is like the world is so divisive right now, you know? And so I think there's something about the hopefulness of Project Hail Mary that is like healing everyone in a way that is of the moment in time right now. Like I wonder if Project Hail Mary came out in the 2000s, would it have been received differently or hit as emotionally as it does now for a
Right.
a populace that like we're pretty cynical and jaded and hopeless in the kind of state of the world right now. And so there's something here in Project Hail Mary that is like, but gosh, isn't this possible? Like, how could we not
Hmm.
try to stretch out our arms to those that we could never imagine and believe that we can build a better world? Like I think there's something in there that is essential to how we are wired as humans is that we want a story like Project Hail Mary and that hopefulness to bleed out into our realities.
Do you think, like, I'm thinking like, Castaway in like 2000 or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, do you think if this came out in 2000, I mean, it's already being super well received, but
Yeah.
do you think the reaction would have been as well received in 2000, or do you think it would be not as warm of a reception to the movie?
My opinion is that I think it wouldn't be as well received at this moment in time. I actually think that Project Hail Mary coming out like 5 years ago also wouldn't have the same energy perhaps as it does now. We've had
Right.
such a long stretch of like um movies that are exploring like the darker sides of humanity and like toxic
Yeah.
leaders and villains that have strains of goodness but protagonists that are anti-heroes, and like
Right.
we've had a long stretch of that I think believing in goodness that is just like wearing its heart on its sleeve and earnest is something that clearly we want now because we've perhaps gone through such a long stretch, especially in sci-fi movies that are really much more dark and cynical and projecting a future that is like barren wastelands and ruled by autocracies. And so there's something about a sci-fi movie, this genre specifically, that believes in goodness. We've got it in like maybe perhaps some of our superhero movies and other IP, but a sci-fi
Yeah.
movie that believes earnestly in goodness is kind of new and fresh for this moment in time.
Yeah. This is like the anti Mad Max Fury Road or something.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I had a friend the other day before Project Hail Mary came out, like a couple of months ago, that was saying, "Man, I'm just tired of like dystopias that are so dark and that's all we see in
Right.
movies and TV now." And she's the one that absolutely adored Project Hail Mary. And she's like, "This is exactly what I've been wanting is like something that's in this genre, that's squarely in this genre, but also breaking out of it and offering something different, a different tone. The
Right.
humor in Project Hail Mary, like that winking, cheeky humor throughout, I think is like something we don't often see in like a sci-fi movie of this current time. Perhaps in like the 80s, we got more of it, but in this moment in
Such a
time.
good transition, because I was going to say,
Yeah.
I think for me, what really makes this work is having Phil Lord and Chris Miller behind it. Like, they're so good at balancing tone. Like, they can take
Yeah.
something that's high concept or even heavy and inject humor and heart without undercutting the stakes. Like, you can
Yeah.
see it a lot in their work, whether it's like 21 Jump Street or the Lego movie or the across, the Into the Spider-Verse movies. Like, they understand that humor actually enhances emotion instead of taking
Mm,
away from it. So when the story gets serious, it hits harder because you've already connected through those like lighter moments. And I feel like these guys just, they strike that balance so well, and I thought they executed it very well for such a high concept, scientifical, type of movie.
mm.
And that
Sarah.
is like the beauty of humor is that like it allows you to like lower your defenses because it's easier to empathize with the character, be invested in a story when you've been laughing. Like it's just easier to give yourself over to that story and like go on that ride when you use kind of humor and comedy to like open that door and allow us as the audience to kind of like journey with you through the story.
100%.
I'm curious for you, Evan, to toss the question back, ping pong it back to you. The Martian and Project Hail Mary. Like, were you less warm for The Martian, more warm for Project Hail Mary, or similarly?
I mean, I'm honestly not the biggest Matt Damon fan. I think he kind of rubs
So
me the wrong way a little bit, to be honest. And I think he's a great actor. But there's just something about him. It just, I'm able to separate, you know? And so, yes, like when I saw The Martian, I was like, this is really enjoyable. Like,
Mhm.
I thought he was great in the role. You know, really like sarcastic and ironic and funny and he did a great job. And so, but it's not and the cast is stellar regardless. I mean, you got like Jessica Chastain. You pretty much have everyone from Interstellar in this movie, and you could confuse the two while you're watching. Like, wait, is this Interstellar? Or, you know, but yeah. So, but it's not something I go back to really.
Mm.
Like Interstellar, I probably watch like at least once a year, and even my wife, who is not a big sci-fi person, loves that movie because it feels like, oh, this is how it could happen. Like it feels very like real in a lot of ways. And so yeah, and then when people were selling this movie before it was coming out, they were like, oh my gosh, like it's this generation's Interstellar. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, not real. Like after I saw it, I was like, oh, I didn't get Interstellar vibes at all. Really, I got more obviously The Martian because it's Andy Weir's voice, but really, I feel like Phil and Chris have their own voice, and so it really felt
Mm.
like their movie. Like I love Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I think that movie is really underrated animated film, and I think that was their first foray, but they had a show a long time ago. I don't know if you guys ever heard about this. It's called Clone High. It was on MTV. It was an animated show about all these clones like going to high school. So it was like
I
it was
love
like
that.
Joan of Arc was like the emo like punk girl, and Abraham Lincoln was like the tall like scrawny nerdy guy, and his best friend was Gandhi, who has like ADHD and is like a stoner kind of person. JFK was like the jock, Cleopatra obviously, you know,
Oh
the
my
it
god.
girl. So they've
It's so good.
always been playing with this like tongue in cheek, wink at the camera kind of vibe. And so it's really cool to see them kind of keep that same energy throughout their projects.
Mm.
So that was a long answer about The Martian that got completely off the rails, but that's how you know you can tell how much I like The Martian. How it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like this will stick with me a lot more than that movie for sure.
It sounds like so. And this moved you more emotionally than maybe The Martian did, and maybe the Matt Damon of it all just, just couldn't get past it, you know?
Yeah, I did think he did a great job, and that movie is stacked with people. Like I love
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain. I mean, that movie even
So
has
good.
like Childish Gambino. It has
Yeah.
Michael Pena, Kristen Wiig, Jeff Daniels, Kate Mara, Sebastian Stan, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Benedict Wong, like Mackenzie Davis, Nick Mohammed from
Yeah,
Ted
Ted
Lasso.
Lasso.
Like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
cast
What?
list makes no sense to me. That is
No.
chaotic.
Yeah.
It's like out there, and like Ridley hadn't made a good movie in years, and so it was really like, and Drew Goddard wrote
Yeah.
that script, who wrote this, and so it was like
Yeah.
really like lightning in a bottle at that point in Ridley's career. But I thought it was really well done for sure.
Mm.
it just didn't hit me the way that this movie did. And I
Yeah.
think another big aspect of that is Ryan Gosling. And
I was just gonna ask about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got your transitions ready to
Yes,
go,
you were reading
girl.
my
I got
mind.
you.
Yeah.
Did you, I know you guys didn't lock in as much as other people, but do you think that Ryan Gosling's the way that he played his character, like how was your feeling about him, or did it not hit as well?
Yeah, I think he does a good job. I think for me it's really like the story and the writing is what I have
Okay.
like the most issue with, but I think Ryan Gosling does a great job. I mean, we've seen a lot from him over the years, and he's not just this like
Mhm.
heartthrob rom-com guy, but like he actually
Yeah.
can act. And it's nice to see a movie like this that's yet another reminder of like, no, he's actually good at his job. And
Yeah.
for people to be like reminded of that. But yeah, I think he does a good job in this. I wasn't mad at his performance at all.
He's photoshopped. Remember Crazy Stupid Love?
Yeah.
Just like perfect, like eight pack or whatever. Guy is
Well,
blessed.
I jotted down a note here because I was wondering after the film how much of this film works because Ryan Gosling's charisma is
Oh yeah.
adding so much to the film that allows us to also just quickly buy into this character, and he's so beloved and his charisma is like electric. He's also playing a very specific like flavor of himself that seems to really like resonate with audience as well. So does this movie work with a different male lead, or does the Ryan Gosling effect really add
Hmm.
to the magic of this film and the atmosphere, the vibe, the humor, the cheekiness? It's very him.
I mean, man, I don't know why my mind gravitated towards this, but I think Sebastian Stan is like an amazing actor. And so
Interesting.
I could see a Sebastian Stan type, like
Mhm.
he is just transformative. And I think has more transformation than Gosling. I think Gosling is really good in differentiating his different characters, which isn't hard, or which is harder to do when you're like so darn handsome. But I
It's a
what I
problem,
love,
thorn in his
yeah,
side.
it's a hard thing.
Hard
Poor
life.
guy. Poor
Gosh.
guy.
Poor guy.
But
Pity
what I
him.
love about Ryan Gosling's character is like he's not the typical hero. He's not
Yeah.
fearless. He's not even willing at first. And that actually makes him more heroic and more
Hmm.
relatable because when the moment comes, he chooses to step up anyway. And I felt like that was like a very human version of a hero, someone who's scared, unsure, not ready, but still rise to the occasion when it matters. Like that was way more relatable than the traditional like I was born for this type of, like that type of character. Like I've been waiting for this. In the way that Ryan played it, it was very endearing, very honest. It really brought you in and made you feel for him, and it made the character feel more real the way that he played it. And I just have a love for teachers. I think teachers are the most, and I think that was important in the story too. Teachers have the most thankless job. They're the most unsung heroes in a lot of
Mm,
ways. Teachers, nurses, caregivers, things of that nature. And so I
yeah.
really think the way that he played it, it still felt like your kind of weird science teacher from like middle school.
Yeah.
And I feel like the way that he balanced that made it more endearing.
And the like massive amount of empathy needed to be a teacher is also used later in the plot when that is what he leads with Rocky,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is fascinating. We've seen so many sci-fi films where like something of the other arrives and the initial response from like, oh, the world global government is like, they are a threat, we need to obliterate them, we need to try and like, you know, take advantage of their resources, of their technology as quick as possible. And this, there's something that Sandra Hüller's character sees in him, which is that that is not in his nature at all. His nature is to relate. There's another great film that I think is very similar to Project Hail Mary that does a better, what I think is a better job of this, which is Arrival. Similar concepts, similar themes of like leading
Definitely.
and relating with
Yeah.
empathy first with the other instead of kind of that very sterile way
Yeah.
that is often portrayed. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the most colorful or exciting movie, but definitely
Devoid of
really
color,
good.
in fact.
Yeah, devoid, but yeah, I mean, Denis
Yeah.
Villeneuve is one of the best doing it right now. And I feel like as, Phil and Chris get more movies under their
Mm,
belt, they can become a little bit more established. I mean,
yeah.
this is really their first like big, live action movie. And but I think that's a great comparison because I think they're both just so human at the end of the day. Both
Mm-hmm.
those stories are dealing with space and aliens and stuff like that, but they are the most human movies at the end of the day of like what makes us us. And
Mm-hmm.
the person I was interviewing this past Saturday, she said storytelling is empathy. And that really stuck with me. And I was
Mm.
re-listening it today. I was like, I'm gonna tell the girls this line. This is great.
Yes. It's perfect for this film, too. Yeah. I love that so
Mhm.
much. Hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I'm curious, perhaps major things that we didn't mention yet that we have to make sure we touch on with Project Hail Mary before we wrap. I've got maybe like one or two things. I'm curious what everybody else has that you're like, gosh, we cannot end this episode without doing a nod to this aspect of the film. Sarah,
Sarah.
do you want to go first?
Okay, so I have a silly thing, and then I have a not so silly thing. So the silly thing is shout out to the whoever did the costumes for this, because Grace's t-shirt selection was A
The
plus,
Bay.
and honestly, I found them all so funny. Like, I was constantly chuckling to myself about his t-shirts. They were perfect. So yeah, whoever did that needs to get a raise. And then uh, something that I read on IMDb, so take it with a grain of salt. I have not read the book, but apparently, like, Rocky doesn't need water to survive, which supports Grace's hypothesis that he was like disgraced for. And I wish that the movie had like
Oh.
That's cool.
honed in on that detail, because then
Uh,
to your point, Jen, about their relationship was too quick, if the film had made that detail a little bit more clear, then maybe we could understand like Grace wanting to learn about Rocky because he supports his hypothesis and what he knew to be true. I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like that was like kind of a missing piece in this that might have been helpful information to have. But and maybe it was in the
Or
film and I missed it, but when I read that after the fact, I was like, that makes so much sense. So
wait, maybe he just wanted to steal his water. He's just getting into
maybe
like you
that's
got
it.
you got water on your ship?
I'm coming over. I'm taking
Let
all
me be
that for
your
me
let me
because
be
you
your
don't need
best
it.
friend.
no, but that
That's
right, that writing of it
fascinating.
doesn't work because we have to believe that they just bond. There can be no
Right.
selfish ambition, you know? I like the version where it's
Wow.
like they're in it for themselves and they actually like realize like, no, I care deeply about this person, but I was kind of like an asshole at the beginning. Maybe I'm just cynical. I don't know, you know?
It could be both. Two things can be right at the
Yeah,
same
it's like
time,
maybe both. I receive, I accept. Yeah. Evan, shout outs, things that we you had to make sure Project Hail Mary moments from this film.
So I know the flashbacks can be a little bit jarring when you want to like stay in the moment, but I feel like what really stood out is how the story unfolds. It
Mm,
almost plays like a mystery. So you're constantly like learning and staying engaged, and then on top of that it makes complex science feel like really accessible, which isn't easy to do. But honestly what surprised me most is like how emotional it was. It's
yeah.
not just about survival. It's about connection and empathy. And that really stays with me after, because there's that moment in the movie where they've gone their separate ways, and Grace realizes that this stuff is leaking, right? And that it's leaking because of the atmosphere or something, and like the atmosphere on Rocky's ship is what makes that stuff leak. So he's like, it's gonna explode or something like by the time I get to him. And it was like, it was just really cool turning point, that going back to what I said about finally finding someone to to be the hero for, to that you have someone that you love, that you truly love. It doesn't need to be like a romantic love. And I thought that was such a cool turning point where he was like, I can do both. I can do both. I
Mm,
can send back the stuff that we collected to save my world, and I can map out how long it'll take to get to Rocky to save his. And I know it's like, and that's a lot to do in a little bit of time. Like when people are like, okay, like let's get to the end, we're ready. Like it's over 2.5 hours almost. Like where are we going with this? People are like, oh god, like there's more. Like what is going on? And
the
so
three endings of this film.
yeah, like several endings. So, and that can also irk people the wrong way when it's like still not ending. And so, but I just thought that the way that they did it, where it was like this heroic moment, and everyone got the heroic moment. I mean, Rocky got his when he pulls Grace out of like getting his face smashed and sacrifices himself for him. And then it was like, this is Grace's turn to sacrifice himself for Rocky. And I thought
Mm.
that was really done well in a very quick way. Sorry, Jen. Very, very quick. And then I thought the ending was cool. Like it's not easy to be like, and now he's on their planet and he's teaching and it's all good. It seems like very like, oh, and everything's okay. But it made me smile at the end. It made me like, oh, like he's still a teacher at the end of the day. He's still teaching this other race about things about their culture, and it was like two cultures coming together again. In and then Sarah got the stuff to save their world, and she's like older now. It's like, oh wow, like time has passed. So it was like
Yeah.
doing a lot of storytelling at the end when you got to wrap everything up in a short amount of time. And I thought they, for the most part, I thought they landed the plane pretty well, in my opinion, for how much you got to do. I don't know. What do you guys
That's why they had to
think?
have three endings for it, Evan,
I
you know?
know. It was too many endings. Yeah,
No,
at
here's the
first
thing
my
though. When
yeah,
you love the characters, I'm like, give me 17 endings. I don't care because
for
I am
sure.
obsessed with these and I want the best for them and I want to know like that they are well, you know? So I totally get it. And I know these endings added so many more layers to like the way that their arcs get to land ultimately. And I know a lot of people also loved the like bringing back of him being able to teach and him having like a renewed purpose in that and a new life to him that he didn't have that when we saw him at the beginning where he's kind of
Mhm.
aimless and wondering what his purpose is. It's like he really has found conviction that this is what he's meant to do and he gets to do something he's gifted at um over on the Iridian's planet into the biodome. You know.
Yeah.
um I wanted to give a shout out to the way the film managed the science stuff. All the science stuff I thought was so smartly done and giving us enough complexity to understand that this is difficult, complicated things, but it's still cool and exciting, while not overcomplicating it to the point where we're kind of lost and we're like, okay, just give me the character moments. So just everything that they did with the experiments and the astrophages and all of that, I thought was like really well paced and like
Yeah.
giving us enough stakes to know like he's doing an experiment. What does this mean? And the perfect balance of not oversimplifying but not overcomplicating. I thought it's kind of hard to know like what does an audience need in that realm. Both The Martian and Project Hail Mary, I think, do a really good job of that. So well done, and really contributes to like the story and the world that we're inhabiting.
I also do want to say it's the kind of movie that reminds you why we go to theaters in the first place.
Yes.
Not just
Yes.
for the spectacle, but to experience something together. You feel the laughs, you feel the tension, the emotion all at the same time as everyone else. And that is really why you go to the movies. And it's something you need to see on the big screen and experience it in a dark room with people you don't know that you
Yeah.
most likely will never see again. And I feel like that is something special, and that is something at least you can take away, is that like this
Yeah.
got people back to the theaters to
Yes.
be with community that wants to see something together, and I thought that was really beautiful.
I love that. Yeah, to laugh, to cry, to
Hmm.
celebrate, to clap at the end when the characters get their triumph, and then to like sit with them in the lows, the whole journey together with our fellow people. I mean, that's what it's all about. As movie lovers, like we love to see it. I am thrilled that this movie is making a ton of money. We're seeing an original
Yeah,
story really generate so much buzz and getting butts into seats, into theaters. So, like, this is very good for the state of movies today. Yeah,
100%.
I
And
love it.
I feel like we live in a time now where people are so focused on what separates us instead of
Yeah.
what combines us, what brings us together. They're so focused on the things that we don't have in common instead of the things that we do have in common. Because at the end of the day, Rocky and Grace, they are very different, but they have the same heart. And that really matters, and that's what really brings people together. And I
Mm,
thought this movie was a great reminder on what things do connect us, and that's important.
yeah, absolutely. And this movie is so notable to me because I mentioned earlier one of my closest friends, like this is truly unlocking new parts of herself, transforming her. So like the power of movies is alive and well, and it can tap into these places that maybe have been dormant or needed to be like unleashed fully. And this movie is doing that for so many people. So gosh, got to celebrate that. Making hearts smile everywhere, renewing optimism and hope in a time where we need it most. Uh, Project Hail Mary is doing it. Yeah.
100%.
Thank you, Evan, for joining us for this conversation, this review, this discussion of Project Hail Mary. I think you've had probably the most impossible task out of any of our guests ever, which is first time on the pod on a film that we were on opposing sides for, and you did impeccable. So good job. You carry that badge of honor.
Thank you.
Evan, where can people find more of you, your content, your movie reviews, more of you on the interwebs?
I just gotta say, this was so much fun. Like, seriously, you guys are awesome. I love the energy, the way you approach these conversations, how comfortable you make the guests. Like, this was really fantastic, and I really appreciate you both. If you guys want more movie, TV, and pop culture conversations, you can find me at the Evan Edition on YouTube, also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and TikTok, all the socials where we're covering Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Michael B. Jordan, Oscar winner, all the movies
Yes.
that we love, everything in between, plus interviews with creators and people in the space. So um, come be a part of the community and hang out with us.
Love it. We will include links in the show notes of where you can find more of Evan and all of those conversations, where he's just creating safe places for people to come and share and bring their full thoughts and opinions and perspectives. And we love it. We love to see it. And we'll include links in the show notes. Go check him out. Go follow all the things to find more of Evan. All right. I mean, we can't wait to have you back on when perhaps we're like a little bit more of a mixed bag. Like maybe two of us can love a film and the other one can have to like for themselves. So we'll have to scheme to figure out how to do this again. But this was really fun and really meaningful, I think, to actually just understand more of each other and where we're all coming from for a film like this.
This is the best part about movies. The best part about movies is that you don't need to agree to have a great conversation about movies. That is never a requirement. And that's one of the most beautiful parts about our community is that we love talking about this stuff, even if it didn't hit us the way that it hit you. That's beautiful.
Those are often like some of my favorite episodes too. It's more boring when we're all just like an echo chamber together instead of being like, oh, interesting. Tell me more. Cause so
tell me more. Did you like Rocky?
All right. Well, we'll see y'all back on the feed here soon with more content. In the meantime, go follow more of Evan, and we'll hope you have an amazing week. We'll talk again soon. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Movies and Us. We are part of the Movie Archer podcast network, so check out moviearcher.com to learn more.
Our name sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories.
You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune into your favorite shows. Drop us a rating review letting us know your thoughts about today's episode.
Connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Movies and Us Pod, or email us at moviesanduspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on Movies and Us and our other podcast, TV and Us.
We hope you have an amazing week, and we can't wait to see y'all very soon.